The fate of a former Broward County Sheriff's deputy accused of failing to confront the Parkland High School shooter is in the hands of a Florida jury tonight. Scot Peterson's trial is the first of its kind against a U.S. law enforcement officer in connection with a school shooting. Let's bring in the host of the new podcast, Once Upon a Crime in Hollywood, class action attorney Kelly Hyman. Kelly, great to have you on this thing. The jury is now deliberating, as we said, Scot Peterson. You know, the video we played over and over again that kind of showed him against a wall and then running away from the scene was very damning in court. I want to play the state attorney, and I'll get your thoughts on the other side. Watch.
You don't have to believe that the defendant had a conscious intent to harm in order to find him guilty of any of these 10 counts. The evidence shows that the defendant had a, quote, reckless disregard for human life as required by this count.
The defense says that he simply didn't know where the gunshots were coming from. What do you think as you watch this case, Kelly?
We have to look at it from the totality of the circumstances. And as you know, the state has the burden and they have to prove each element of the crime. According to the state, they are saying that he was negligent. So in the fact that he did not act when he heard the noises and that he had an obligation to protect the students and the teachers as well to make sure that they were safe. So that's going to be key. Ultimately, it'll be up to the jury of whether they believe that, yes, he knew and he should have acted and he was negligent, or in the fact that, no, he didn't know where it was coming from and he didn't need to go in there because if he didn't know where the fire was coming from.
Yeah, okay, let's move on. Washington Examiner saying alarming worldwide trends. 65% of teenagers are the target of sextortion. A majority reported they had experienced attempted sextortion. That's a scam involving an exchange of sexual photos and videos that are then used to blackmail them on a variety of platforms. I mean, what is going on here? This has got to be frightening for a lot of parents.
This is horrible. So when we look at from a legal standpoint of what is extortion, it's the fact where you are forcing someone to do something, to threaten them, saying if you don't do this and don't pay me this amount of money, I am going to harm you. And this has serious ramifications for these children, that some are committing suicide as well. So it's important to be aware of the fact of these type of scams.
Yeah, it really is. Lastly, Idaho prosecutors make their decision on the death penalty for Bryan Kohberger. We touched on this in the Crime Crisis Roundup. Idaho statesman says we're a jury to convict Kohberger at trial, currently scheduled to start October 2nd, and need only determine one aggravating factor exists in the deaths of the 4 victims. Jurors' decision must be unanimous. Just one aggravating factor, so it seems like the bar is a little bit lower on this. Final thoughts?
Yes, you know, you bring up a really good point. So when we look at it from the death standpoint, that is some serious implications on this case. Now, allegedly, there are some DNA that pinpoints him at the scene of the crime, and that DNA is going to be key for the state's case to whether they prevail or not.
Yeah, Kelly Hyman, great to have you on as always. Thank you.
Great to see you.